Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to another movie review. Hope you guys are enjoying a lot of the movie reviews that are sweeping this channel. I'll be doing a new collab video very soon, so just be on the lookout for that. Just been busy with a couple of things, so just, hanging out with some buddies, just enjoying my summer, so just been focused on that front, but I'm back to doing some videos, and we're going to be doing, of course, the review for Black Widow. I would say the biggest summer film, the biggest movie of the summer to be coming out. Definitely not my most anticipated film of the summer. Even go as far as say not even my most anticipated film of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. As a matter of fact, I would say it's probably my least excited thing. Um, but I, I have now seen it, and I have some thoughts. So of course, Black Widow, as we all know, it's the next entry in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Uh, if you remember pre-pandemic, Black Widow was supposed to be the first thing out the gate from Phase 4. Since then, since the pandemic, we have now entered Phase 4, and we've been in the full swing of things with the Disney Plus shows, with Falcon and Winter Soldier, WandaVision, and currently with Loki. Um, but now, 2 years later, we now have our first MCU movie in the form of Black Widow, and it follows up after Civil War, in between Civil War and Infinity War, and it tells the story of Natasha Romanoff, about where she came from and her family, and how ultimately her and her family cross paths again, and they go on this little adventure of sorts, and learn the value of family and sisterhood and a bunch of other things. Um, but as I laid out up front, I was not really looking forward to Black Widow. I mean, I was interested, but I was not as anticipated because there's one thing that I want this question. There's one thing that I want this film to answer, and that is this: why do I need to watch it? Because a lot of times when I was seeing the marketing for Black Widow, I was thinking a lot to myself, I don't really see the need to see this within this big franchise. And does it answer that question? We'll get there. But first thing that I will say up front is that there is a sense of fun, and overall, it is entertaining to a degree. And the performances in general are solid. Scarlett Johansson has her moments. Florence Pugh, I would say, is the standout performance wise. David Harbour, Rachel Weisz, they were all pretty good in their respective roles. Um, but unfortunately, Black Widow has a lot of issues, and a lot of them come from pacing. It's very clear that the movie is rushed. I mean, it's a solid 2 hours. I mean, it's the standard Marvel length, or standard length for what it should be, like 2 hours 17 minutes or something. The length is great on paper. It's just the pacing that they choose for this thing does not work. It is very quick, and it loses a lot because of that. You lose a lot of grip to certain and important development for characters and to thematic purpose, because you really don't, because there are deeper ideas that Black Widow wants to touch on, but because of that rush, because of the pace that it chooses, which does not work for this movie at all, and it creates this feeling of of unevenness, and it just feels rushed throughout. Because of that, you lose a lot of the firm grip to important character development, and to really being tapped into the deeper themes that the film is wanting to talk about. Um, and unfortunately, as I addressed up front, it does fail to answer that question as to why I need to watch this, because it really doesn't feel like you need to watch Black Widow in the context of the MCU, because really there's not a whole lot of new information about Black Widow in this movie. I mean, Natasha doesn't have a lot of new information, or like new revelations or anything new coming out of Black Widow. She's pretty much the same person. The only thing new that you get from it is that obviously that she has a second family of sorts, but that's about it. You don't really get a much more rooted understanding of that, or a more of an emotional understanding, or more rooted layers or dimensions to add on to Natasha Romanoff. She's still the same person that we've met from Civil War, Infinity War, all those other previous movies. She hasn't really changed. we don't really see a new dimension to Black Widow in Black Widow. So, um, so it failed on that front. And in general, with the context of the MCU, it serves very, very little purpose. I mean, the at best, the post credit scene, that is pretty much like, if you want, because they were promoting Kevin Feige. I don't know what he was saying earlier on, saying like, oh, Black Widow serves a big purpose for the MCU. It serves it for one thing, one particular thing, and you know what that thing is. And people have been speculating about that thing, and it's like, well, no shit. We know that that was going to happen. Um, but um, but yeah, it's pretty much just narrows it down to one particular thing. I won't spoil what, but it involves something with Florence Pugh. You can kind of decipher what it is and pretty much pick up what it possibly is. Um, but um, but yeah, while there is a sense of fun and overall entertainment to a degree and interesting performances to follow, it's clearly rushed throughout, lacks a firm grip of important development, um, and most importantly, as I addressed up front, it fails to answer this film's, not other films, this film's most important question, which is why do I need to watch it? And it doesn't give me um, enough reasoning for that. Like I said, I don't feel like I learned anything new about Natasha in this movie. I don't feel like the overall film felt necessary, and I just felt that it didn't justify itself to me, and that's unfortunate for me, because I think the best way to describe Black Widow is this: it's like someone walking into a party, right? That they weren't invited to, and they decide to stay and try to fit in. Okay, because Black Widow does try to prove to us that it can be a part of the party, and it certainly has interesting and appealing traits. But sadly, at the end of the day, it only proves more. It only proves more to us why it just wasn't invited to begin with. It's not that we hate them. It's just that they don't add anything new to the party.